Hello students, welcome to Notebook. In this video lesson and its subsequent parts, we'll discuss how India established the system of elections. We'll also discuss the dominance of the Congress party and the emergence of opposition political parties. Let us now begin. Many countries which attained independence from colonizers in the 20th century prioritized national unity over democracy. Fearful of democracy creating divides and conflicts, non-democratic rule took various forms. Nominal democracy, one-party rule, or direct army rule. Since India's freedom struggle was rooted in the idea of democracy, our national leaders chose the difficult path. Conscious of the crucial role of politics in democracy, India decided to favor democracy to govern and regulate itself. Democracy was viewed as the answer to resolve political differences and conflicting political aspirations. Though competition and power are central to politics, political activity should be pursued keeping in mind public interest. The Constitution was adopted on 26th of November 1949. It came into effect on 26th of January 1950. During this time, India was ruled by an interim government. The Indian Constitution had laid down the laws for democratically electing a government. It was then time to hold the first democratic election. On 25th of January 1950, the Election Commission of India was formed. Sukumar Sen was India's first Chief Election Commissioner. General elections were expected to be held in 1950. To hold free and fair elections in a country the size of India was an uphill task. Holding elections meant delineating the boundaries of electoral constituencies. It also meant preparing the list of all eligible voters of India. When the first draft of the rolls was published, the names of nearly 40 lakh women voters were missing. On top of this, only 15% of the eligible voters were literate. 17 crore eligible voters were expected to elect 3,200 MLAs and 489 members of the Lok Sabha. The EC had to train over 3 lakh officers and polling staff to conduct the election. It was not just the size of India which made election daunting. The first general election would be a true test of democracy in a country that was largely poor and illiterate. Prior to this, democracy was practiced only in the European countries and North America. Even then, not all European countries gave voting rights to women. In this context, India's experiment with the universal adult franchise was quite the gamble. Journalists were quite skeptical of the process, and some even believed that Nehru would live to regret it. The first general elections were held between October 1951 and February 1952. In total, campaigning, polling and counting required 6 months. For each seat, there were more than 4 candidates. More than half the eligible voters turned up to vote on election day. Newspapers like the Hindustan Times and the Times of India lauded Indian efforts in managing a free and fair election process. Foreign observers of the election were also impressed. Since then, the general election of 1952 in India has become a milestone in the history of democracy. The Indian National Congress was expected to win the first general election, as the party had heralded the national movement as well as had a network spread throughout the country. It was only natural. In addition, the charismatic Jawaharlal Nehru had led the Congress campaign. Touring throughout the country, the Congress party won 364 out of 489 seats in the Lok Sabha. The Communist Party of India (CPI) came in next with only 16 seats. The state elections were held along with the Lok Sabha elections. The Congress had won the majority of seats in most states, apart from Travancore, Cochin, Madras and Orissa. Congress ended up ruling at the center as well as most of the states. Jawaharlal Nehru became the first Prime Minister of India. The second and third general elections were held in 1957 and 1962 respectively. Congress heavily dominated the political arena between 1952 and 1962. Congress won 3/4 of the seats in the second and third Lok Sabha elections as well. The opposition parties were unable to secure even 10% of Congress seats. However, as far as state assembly elections are concerned, Congress was unable to secure the majority seats in a few states. The most notable of these instances was in Kerala in 1957, where a coalition led by the Communist Party of India formed the government. The victory of the Congress was unnaturally enhanced by the electoral system. Though Congress won nearly 3 out of 4 seats, it got less than 50% votes. For example, in the 1952 elections, though Congress had secured 74% of the seats, it only received 45% of total votes. The Socialist Party, in terms of votes, got more than 10% of all votes. However, they were unable to secure even 3% of all seats. How can this happen? You have to recall the first past the post method in your text, Indian Constitution at Work, from last year. If you remember correctly, the system of election adopted in our country ensures that the party which obtains most votes often gains more than its proportional share. This was exactly what worked in favor of the Congress Party. The total votes received by non-Congress candidates were actually more than the votes received by the Congress. However, the votes were divided among multiple rival parties and independent candidates. Thus, Congress was able to secure more seats than all other parties and candidates combined. However, in the state assembly elections of March 1957, the Communist Party of India won the largest number of seats in Kerala. The party won 60 of the 126 seats and had also garnered the support of 5 independent candidates. The governor invited E.M.S. Namboodiripad, the leader of the CPI in Kerala, to form the ministry. For the first time in history, a communist party had won and formed the government through democratic elections. However, Congress did not take this bitter defeat well. It began a liberation struggle against the fairly elected government. In 1959, the Congress government at the center dismissed the communist government in Kerala, citing Article 356 of the Constitution. This decision was widely criticized as the first instance of abuse of constitutional emergency powers. With that, we come to the end of this video lesson. In the second part of the video lesson, we will discuss the nature of Congress dominance and the social and ideological coalition of the party. We'll also briefly look at the origins, leaders, and existence of the Socialist Party and the Communist Party of India in the political arena. Till then, here's Team Notebook bidding you a warm goodbye. See you soon.